Okay. Oh, wow. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on today's edition of the Inside Out Show. My name is Sandra Eze. My audience, you are amazing. An applause for yourselves. Thank you for being so dedicated and for making it out here for each episode of the show. I and the entire team, we are so grateful. Charles.
Hey, how are you?
What's up?
I'm good. I'm really excited, girl. I am super excited. It's my mom's birthday today.
Oh.
And I'm really happy. You know, she's 16 again.
60!
Wow.
So, happy birthday, Mrs. Bourne.
Happy birthday, mommy. I love you. You look nice, by the way. Your blue dress
Thank
is pretty.
you. It's absolutely DJ.
DJ again?
Yes, of course. Nice. I'm a DJ lady. Duh.
Okay. You didn't notice my outfit.
I know. Let's talk about it.
It's not fair.
Let's talk about it, but it started with your mom. Obviously, your mom is way more important than your outfit, right?
She is.
So, but yeah, I like the touch of white.
Thank you. There's still black though, but yeah.
Yeah, but the white, I can see the white. I choose to see the white.
Thank you. Zach is a fantastic stylist. Thank you.
Okay, enough about fashion. Today, we're discussing a very important and intense topic that needs to be addressed urgently. We're discussing teenage suicide. If you look around you see a lot of teenagers. That's because it's about time. When someone is a teenager, your life is just about to begin. When a 45-year-old man or when a 60-year-old man decides to take their lives, it doesn't mean it's acceptable, but we can understand that maybe you've gone through things or pressure or something or midlife crisis that we can understand that you've lived. But when you're a teenager, your life just started. Why on earth would you possibly want to take your life? That's what we want to find out today. And also, when we find out the reasons, what can we do to remedy it, to stop it and let our children get to adulthood and maybe old age or whenever God says they would live, however long God says they would live. So that's what we intend to address on today's episode of the Inside Out Show. After the break, you get to meet our panelists. Don't go away. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Inside Out Show. I'm Sandra Eze. Like I told you earlier, we're discussing teenage suicide today. And now time to meet my panelists, starting first with Ikui Minu Raphael, who is Speaker, Lagos State Children's Parliament. Thank you for being here. And next, Mrs. Taiwo Tinola Olumuyiwa, Educational Psychologist. Thank you. Up next, Priscilla B. Olaoye, Mental Health Ambassador. Thank you for being here. And finally, Jerry Chemeke, lawyer, screenwriter. Thank you. Okay, so let's start. And of course, we have another person who has experienced the topic we're discussing, who is Motosi Afolarami. She's right here with us. At some point, we'll get to hear from her. But let's start this discussion. What is suicide, Priscilla?
Suicide is a condition that leads to the extinction of one's life by oneself. It's different. It sometimes is one of the symptoms of mental illness. And it's sometimes could, because we also have what we call situational suicide.
Situational
yes,
suicide.
That's that's when one is probably one probably has a situation that blocks out logic at the time, and that's about the only option available to the person. So the person chooses to take one's life. It's different from homicide, which is taking the life of another. But both symptoms, both suicide and homicide, are symptoms of mental illness.
Okay. So now that we've established meaning of suicide, why would a teenager who just started life, why would they want to take their life? Why would they even harbor that thought?
There are so many factors to the cause of suicide. First of all, if the person has a pre-existing mental condition, and I'm so moved by the fact that we have a lot of teenagers in the house. Teenagers go through a lot. that adults do not appreciate and understand. First of all, it starts with the way even adults speak. I was speaking again last Saturday, and I was sharing with mothers, celebrating the Mother's Day, and I was sharing with mothers how even the speed of their speech do not match up with the speed of thoughts of the youth, of the young people. So a lot go through their minds by the second. And their inability to transition very well or adjustably with, what's going on with them could lead to a lot of could lead to a lot of maladjustment is the word. So it's a very tough period going from childhood to adulthood. It's a lot of responsibility. And not everyone have the ability to adjust. First of all, they're dealing with identity crisis. They are dealing with the enormous responsibility of getting to know who this person is. And everybody is trying to compare him or her to other people.
Is part of it.
So it's quite difficult. That teenager's experience is unique to that teenager. And it's important that people around them understand.
Okay. All right. Ms. Zolumu, you are as a guidance and a counselor. I would like to get your perspective from the educational background. What are the causes of this teenage suicide? Why is it on the rise?
I was just nodding and, agreeing with her that, sincerely speaking, it's a period for any child that the parents or whoever that is around to accept them, because it's a crisis on their own. They're trying to know who they are and a lot of things that they want to identify with. So by the time you're trying to nail them to a particular mistake they made, they either withdraw or take a kind of rebellious act. Financially, at times they want to compare themselves with, whoever their friends are. That come, I needed these particular things and I can't get it because my parents are poor. And here in the house, you're not seeing that to console them. Don't worry, all these things will be made available. You just think you can just tell them, what is your problem? I don't have, and do your worst. I remember when I was going to school, I didn't understand what it means that there's no money. I want to go to school and I can't trek. And I told my mom, I need money for transport. She said there's none. I was looking at her, what do you mean? All I needed then was just a common explanation. So if there's poor communication in the home, then there's a kind of a breach broken within that teenager and the parents. Thank you.
So lack of communication is another thing?
Yes, it's another one. Poverty is there. Now communication now is there. Then if you are not good, in particular, that's educational achievements. If you are not good, at times there are late starters.
Late bloomers,
yes. That later they catch up. If you're not there to tell them, don't worry. Is it maths? Whatever it is, you can catch up. You give them that parental support. It can make them to withdraw. And before you know what is happening, they start having this mental illness like she mentioned. And the next thing, they lose hope. And when hopelessness comes in to a teenager, they'll be looking at you straight. Something else will be going on inside of them. And you know one thing, like she said, it's like a time of trying to know who they are. In the morning, you address them as adults. The next minute, you are addressing, as in, why are you behaving like adults? The next, what do you think you are? A confusion, comes in, and they're like, who am I? So if you don't try to see that it's a transition, and a lot of things has to come in, try and grow up with them. Feel them. Don't just condemn them, so that they'll be able to speak up and have a confidence to come up with whatever comes in.
Now, Raphael, let's talk talk about this identity crisis. Growing up as a teenager, did you ever experience that? Or what was growing up like for you?
Okay, I'm going to be very honest with you. Growing up as a child, we face a lot of challenges that is unspoken, that most times are swept under the carpet due to the fact that parents don't want to talk about it because they feel shy to talk about it, or they
Can you
feel
give us
that,
an example of some of those challenges?
a typical example is dating in teenagers.
Okay.
Parents don't feel comfortable talking about these stuff with their kids because they feel like, probably because they are shy, and another reason might be because they feel that we the teenagers, we are not supposed to be thinking about it at this particular time. So they feel like sexual education is not necessary at this level. But it might get to a point that we might shoot ourselves in the leg when we discover that we the teenagers, we know more than you think.
Yeah.
You see, the mind of a teenager is more broad and enlightened than based on the current generation that we are. So our minds are not limited to our age. We know far better than we are supposed to know. So an average teenager is more intelligent based on the positive knowledge and of course the negative knowledge. So issues like this should not be hidden from us. We are at this point in our time, we are thirsty for knowledge. We want to know. We want to how do I put this? We want to test things. We want to know how things feel.
Curiosity.
So, curiosity, exactly.
Yes.
That was the word I was looking for. So what we need as teenagers, we need guidance, and that is what we are not getting from our guardians. Probably because they are busy catering for our needs instead of looking at what I am facing inside. Because there are a lot of things that children go through, especially in schools and social medias and all of that we face. And I'm happy about the fact that we are all teenagers. Most of us here are teenagers. So I want to beg us that we should be very conscious of what we say and how we say it, because it's going to be a greater crime for someone to do something bad or negative that the person doesn't want to do because you said something to that person. It's going to be a very bad thing. So we should be conscious about what we say to our friends. Because why do I call you my friend? I call you my friend because I depend on you for companionship and of course as a source of motivation. So if I'm getting the otherwise from you, it's gonna have a deep effect on my life personally. So we should be conscious about that. Thank you very much.
All right. Wow.
That's big.
Okay, you know what, Jerry, I'll go to you right now. I know you've experienced this. Would you like to talk about this?
Growing up as a teenager, I was on the large side, or the plump side. I was pretty much overweight, and that made me susceptible to lots of bullying and name calling. I really couldn't participate in sports. I was ostracized, poked fun at, even by teachers who should have known better, who should know how to relate better with kids and make them feel confident. So I think for me that whole confidence thing matters. We talk of bullying and we talk of words, but I think somehow the way we relate to one another also affect the psyche of adolescents and teenagers in particular, because from the ages of 8 to probably 18 or 19, you are at this very crucial stage of your development where the things you hear and the perceptions people have of you and even what you have of yourself goes on to determine your level of self-esteem. So when you hear things like, oh, you're fat, or oh, you're slow, or oh, you're so dumb, you're so clumsy, it's kind of paints a negative picture in your head, and you begin to see yourself as, all that. And because I was a tad overweight and unable to do certain things like people would usually do, the kind of games usual kids and their early teens would play. It made me really shy, and ultimately it made me very socially awkward. And part of that still rings in my head till today. Like, I can't dance well, I wish
I can't dance well.
I can't dance shaka to make heaven. I'm just saying.
I can't either.
Maybe I feel if I had, been more into that growing up, probably I'd have perfected a couple of moves. So if someone asked me to dance right here, I would just run because I can't even do that. It's just, I think a lot of parents are a lot more this is not to indict any parents. I think we're not as sensitive to the needs and emotional intricacies of our children as we should. There's this saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt. I think that's very wrong. Words really hurt, because imagine someone keeps calling you the same thing now and then. Of course, you're going to go to sleep feeling really bad. And when you have that perception of yourself with no real source of motivation or encouragement, you may have no choice but just to end it all, just tune out. So
we're looking at words, emotional abuse, that's words, identity crisis, communication. I will get to you, Mrs. Olumuyiwa. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, we'll hear from Tosin, and also we'll hear from Mrs. Olumuyiwa. Stay with us. This is the Inside Out Show.
Coming up next on the show.
I literally wanted to commit suicide at a point. My father would look me in the face and call me names. Like he said, words are very important. Call me names like useless, can't amount to anything, things like that.
And if in school they call me names because I am tiny, which is not my fault, it means I am abnormal. So there is no place I want to get to that there is no reason to want to get out of that space.
If we can just face the reality of life, that while growing up, you were not who you are now. Somebody somewhere helped you. Don't just bring down any child, no matter what mistake they've made.
Welcome back to the Inside Out Show. We're discussing teenage suicide. And right now, it's time to hear from Tosin. Let's hear her experience as well, or what she has to say.
Thank you very much. Growing up, I grew up with my mom at first. I didn't know my dad until I was past 10. So it was just me and my mom and my sisters, and they would go to school. My older sister was in the boarding school. The other one was staying with my grandma. So it was just me and my momsy in the house. So she had to go to shop. So that means when I come back from school, somebody has to look after me. And in the process, she had to drop me off with my cousins that were all boys. So at 7, I started being abused. But because I don't see my mom until late at night, she comes back, she's pretty tired, I'm tired, I just want to sleep and go to school. So I could not tell anybody. Even when I wanted to say it, I was thinking, will she ever believe me? So I decided not to talk. Then there is a pressure from the school. I was really tiny. I don't think I've added more weight than I used to be. So I was very tiny, and the names calling started. They called me names like Koleje, like no blood. And then dealing with what was going on in the house. That's at 7. Then it went gradually into my first teenage year, 13. That was when it stopped. Imagine what was going through my head. I was quite messed up. And then nobody understood why I was messed up.
Wow.
If my cousins feel that, oh, we can use her, it means I am abnormal. And if in school they call me names because I am tiny, which is not my fault, it means I am abnormal. So there is no place I want to get to that there is no reason to want to get out of that space. So at one point I just felt, you know what, let me do this. But I could not go through with it. So yes, I attempted it. And I was lucky enough, it wasn't successful. Teenage suicide is not something that started yesterday or last year. Social media just kind of put it in our face. It happened. It used to happen. But because nobody came out to talk about it, then no mother will come out and say, my child swallowed poison. He slept, he didn't wake up. She slept, she didn't wake up. But parents are not doing differently.
You know what, at this point, I'm definitely, thank you so much, Tosin, for sharing. At this point, I'm going to have to listen to, starting with you, Mrs. Olumuyiwa. Before the break, you wanted to say something, and I think you should just, what you have to say is talk about it all together. Bullying, every single person who has shared a story today, it's not just about parents. Yes, there are parents, but then you see that the major pressure comes from the circle, from within, people your age, especially. Thank you, Raphael, for bringing up that issue. Words. What is going on, and what is guidance and counseling in school? What are they doing about this before we get to the parents?
Actually, I actually wanted to mention about stigmatization. That while I was growing up, I had this issue with my leg. I don't wear sandals like every other student. I don't feel it. I don't know where I got it from. But at home, nobody told me, you are not walking like every other person. I'm a twin. So I thought the way my twin brother was doing, walking, that's the same way I was walking. I never knew. But getting to school, I found out that the whole school, everybody were making noise, kneel down. Principal would just call my name, Taiwo Akbara. Go to your class. I feel like I can kneel down, but I'll leave with my head down. I didn't like it. At home, I wasn't exposed to that. But at school, I was being treated like, special. I didn't like it. But back to myself, I gave myself a kind of confidence that I'm like every other person. Even though I wasn't wearing cortina, I was wearing one rubber slippers. And at a point in time, it got broken. And I was now walking with my bare foot. And it didn't bother me. I'm telling you this, it never affected my self-esteem at any point in time. I gathered the whole thing together. I put it on my head. I was so brilliant. And I partake in debates. I speak, I act in drama. I packaged all my weaknesses, all the disability in me. I packaged it to my mouth and my appearance.
Yeah, but you see, like Priscilla mentioned,
I know, I'm just telling you
people's
that.
adjustment ability is not the same.
No, that was because at home, I was not treated like that.
Okay.
Like what we're just, referring to that in the word. Positive regards, if you can just give a word to a child, we are not different, right? If a child is good in this one definitely will make up. If we can just face the reality of life, that while growing up, you were not who you are now. Somebody somewhere helped you. Don't just bring down any child, no matter what mistakes they've made.
My heart is racing so fast. Okay, this is a topic that is dear to me because it's actually something I went through. So growing up, I want to give a real life instance that happened to me personally. I grew up one father, one mother, one father. A nuclear family, and for whatever reason, my father myself and my father did have the best of relationships, and myself and my mother had the best of relationships. We were really close. And I never really had a father figure, even though I had a father who I was living with. We never got to talk, we never got to, the kind of things a son and a father would do. There was no bonding, basically, and it dampened my spirit. I literally wanted to commit suicide at a point. My father would look me in the face and call me names. Like he said, words are very important. Call me names like useless, you can't amount to anything, things like that. And I would literally cry and ask my mom, who is my dad? Why is he doing this to me? And I remember this particular day, I can't forget it ever, when she came to my school for my open day. And I had told my dad, I couldn't speak with him, I would literally have to write things to him. So I wrote to him and gave him that, have an open day and all. Ooh, okay. And then he said, okay, he told my mom to tell me that he was going to come. And I was really excited. I told all my friends, my father is coming. They were excited because they had never seen my dad before. And I was excited and I was scared at the same time. So I was ensuring that all my books, all my things were in place. I was really meticulous that day. If he stepped on me on that day, I would literally slap you because I knew he was going to kill me. So he didn't come, but he came. But a friend of my mom's came with my mom. And he had the father build. He was tall, he was huge, he was, and he sat down and played father figure for me. And when we were done, we were leaving, my class, where my mom was taking him back and everything. And I remember holding his hand as we were walking out of my class. And I was shedding tears like a child. And my mom was asking why. And I said, is this my dad? And she started crying as well. Now, parents find it difficult to realize that, yes, we've talked about substance abuse and things like that, but they play a major role. And there are little things that they fail to realize. And I think it's important that parents realize this early on.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing out.
Coming up next on the show.
If you keep calling me a stupid boy today, tomorrow, you keep calling me a stupid boy, with time, that is going to conform into my belief system. So I'll believe myself to become a stupid boy.
Because people would always see what they want to see. Instead of wasting your energy trying to convince people that you're good enough, put that same energy in building yourself.
Now, Priscilla, let's talk about words. Everybody who has spoken here, who has shared your experiences, I would say there were other causative factors, right? But majority of it were words. You're fat, you're ugly, you're this, you're useless, you're a big head, you're thin, you're skinny. What is it about words that get to us? And yet people go on social media and like, don't let words, I think Jerry, you mentioned it, don't let words get to you, words just flying and fly out. But from what we're hearing, that's not true. Words actually build up. Okay, Raphael, let me hear from you first.
I think that is a lie. Words really have a greater effect in our life because human beings, we are made out of words. So that was what God used to make us from the beginning, from the onset. So you cannot tell me that words cannot affect you as a human being. That is a big lie. So you were talking about what are the counselors and guardian counselors in schools are doing. I want to put it to you that guardians and counselors are, even in most cases, are the ones bullying the students. You will hear cases in school, they will tell you things like, as in, teachers will bully you, and you feel like just because you don't get up to a particular grade, you're going to be insulted, you're going to be bullied, as if you hear names like you are lokpolo, you are dull, you are, as in, they will give you names that you will feel like, I mean, that's even gotten to a point that teenagers do commit suicide because of they could not pass their exams, and the emotional abuses and the bullying that comes makes them to lose their will to life. So and all of these put together, those are not good. So I think that the guardians, counselors, and our parents and our guardians, they should have some level of emotional intelligence. They should be conscious of what they say. We know children can be, we children, sometimes we make mistakes. We do some things that you would like you want to say some words to us some things that will get you angry, but yet again we should be conscious of the words we say to children, because at this our level, even to an adult, it's not limited to children, even to an adult, words are very important. Who I am today is basically because of words that have gotten into me, words that people have spoken into my life. So all these they are not just words, they are prophecies. So we should be very cautious. If you keep calling me a stupid boy today, tomorrow, you keep calling me a stupid boy, with time, that is going to conform into my belief system. So I'll believe myself to become a stupid boy. So I'll start acting in that way. So words are very powerful. We should be very conscious with words.
Right. Priscilla, did he just do your job for you?
I mean, I think this is about the first year I would come and I become so emotional. I'm not sure I've been this emotional. Oh dear, and it's seemingly overwhelming. It's a different thing when you sit in your office and hear people sitting in front of you share very deep personal experiences. And it's a different thing when you come to a collective gathering, informal in its sense and not non-clinical in its sense, and here people share very deeply from their hearts. It tells you what they're going on. So I'm going to start from anywhere. I might not start in a particular order, but please permit me just to go with the flow.
Okay.
So first of all is the case of a child who is deeply seeking for emotional connection with the father figure, because he believes that this person is worth emulating. and there is a need to connect with this person I admire so much on a deeper level, and that person seems not even to notice him. That is rejection at its peak. And what that does is it begins to make the person ask questions like, am I worthy to be noticed? Am I worth anything? If I had some superpowers, would this person notice me? If the most important person in my life is not paying attention to me, then why would anybody pay attention to me? So it begins to make that person question their skills, their abilities, their worth. And what I mean, that person would not feel special in any way. Back to body image disturbance. Because somebody is slim, you do not permit them to be slim. Because somebody is fat, you do not permit them to be fat. But we need to realize that people speak from the abundance of their understanding. When someone looks at you and all the person sees is inadequacy, the problem is not you, the problem is them. So you need to understand that when someone looks at you and says you are too fat, that person has a problem with sight. He sees you physically but does not see your heart. If all of the summation of that person is to judge you by your physical looks, then that person is the one who should be ashamed for being blind. So it's important for you guys to begin to understand yourselves. You are not what people call you. You are what you believe you are. And that is the beginning of self-liberation. People can keep calling you names. They are only speaking from the abundance of what they see. You cannot convince them. I love a quote that I usually share by Robert Bolano. People see what they want to see. And what people want to see never has anything to do with the truth. So, it's not in you will wear yourself out trying to convince people that you're a good person, or that you're brilliant, or that you're good enough. Because people would always see what they want to see. Instead of wasting your energy trying to convince people that you're good enough, put that same energy in building yourself, recognizing yourself, meeting yourself, and doing you. Just keep doing you. I might have nowhere to sleep. I might have no shoes to wear. I might have no clothes to put on. I might not live in the best houses. I might not even have food to eat. But one thing is sure, my mind is a palace. And I will not let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet. People want to step on your mind with their own garbage. You have the ability and the power to say, not here. Keep your baggage far away. You're not bringing it here. So it's your responsibility to guard your mind with what goes in and what you allow in. No one can make you feel small. You only feel small because you want to feel small.
This is the Inside Out Show. We're discussing teen suicide, teenage suicide. We'll go on the break. When we come back, we're asking, how do we stop this? How do we discover the behavioral pattern of a teenager who is about to go suicidal? We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Coming up next on the show.
Children are more comfortable posting on social media than even talking to their parents.
Because I was trying to gain my father's attention. I physically hurt myself. And when I did that, it didn't bother him.
Let me see if I can get daddy's attention by inflicting pain on myself. But daddy still does not see me. That means that daddy does not have the ability to see.
Night Out Show, we're discussing teenage suicide. Now, Jerry, I haven't spoken to you in a while. For someone who is about to go suicidal, what are are there like some behavioral patterns we can notice? Is there something that maybe a parent or a guardian or someone who is around, is there something they can, pick out?
At 17, I was a very angry kid. So I took to lots of, rock music with those dark undertone behind their lyrics. So I sunk myself, and maybe that's why I'm a bit of a rockhead today, because I was there. I felt everything, the disillusionment, the loneliness, and the anger. So yeah, they lock themselves in their room, listen to music. For some that are social media savvy, you may want to look at their posts, their WhatsApp stories, their Instagram stories.
Right.
It's not hard to know when someone is going downhill. I mean, check out those. Some might be cryptic, like, quoting something that's with the afterlife. Some might be dying like, I'm tired of this. I want to go. So I know I don't allow my father follow me on social media. That way I'm not. But
why not?
For those who are personal reasons.
Okay, that's fine.
For those who are privileged to follow their kids or their wards, you may want to check out what they post on a daily to know what, because children are more comfortable posting on social media than even talking to their parents. So you may really want to look at the kind of pictures. It could be a picture of someone in a dark hoodie just staring at. You may want to check their WhatsApp story, their WhatsApp status. For some, in extreme cases, they might even take to religion. They get all caught up in this idea of, all right, I'm gonna die soon, so I want to get closer to God, and let me just tune myself out so I can go to heaven at least. Okay. I'm surprised that in trashing out this issue of suicide, we haven't really checked out the role of religion. There are many children. I mean, in the Far East, in Calabar, there are people who have been, flogged with chains or almost killed for child witchcraft, just because they made the mistake of acting different. I mean, probably I'm too quiet or I get into mood swings all the time. People think I'm an evil child and they want to take me for deliverance. Now, people who feel depression is some sort of satanic possession, which shouldn't be. I feel that we should treat mental illnesses from its own individual perspective, separate from religion. It's okay to have mood swings. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to not be okay. You're not always going to be happy all the time. And the fact that you're withdrawn or you don't like the things people like, probably people like Afro pop and you like rock music, doesn't make you a witch or a wizard. Doesn't make you a crazy kid. The fact that you like dressing in black and black with black lipstick doesn't make you a crazy child. So be yourself.
Okay, moving on to you, Mrs. Olumuyiwa.
Yeah.
What can we do from the school perspective? And you can also add in as a parent, because you're a parent as well.
Okay. The first thing to do after getting to know that these are the signals, the words, the hopelessness, the isolation, is to seek for an attention of a professional to talk to her. Because at times we think we can do it on our own.
Yeah.
But it's not always the case. A case like that happened somewhere, in Lagos. The lady stole somebody's, undies, and the mother was called in to come and see, and she paid for it. She took her back home. That wasn't the right thing to do. She left her, she thought all was over. She came back and met her dead. So you need to kind of consult a professional to help you. And if not, don't leave that person alone. Notice every moves, everything that needed to be done concerning that child, because you don't even see the heart. And a lot will be going on inside of that particular child. And it's a time of her to think, can I face this particular person again? Can I be the same person again? So if you can just sit her down, like she said that we don't see what we were when we were teenagers. I do that a lot. I go back to when I was a teenager. What was it like? What was those things I didn't like? So I don't dish it out. So if any child is about... you're about committing a suicide and by grace you were being detected or rescued, please, is a time to give that child self-confidence, assurance, hope that you can be. They'll be looking at you and keeping quiet, that is it my mom, is it my dad? But keep it up. You can go on a walk, talk to them, and pray, because we can't take that one away from all this. Don't condemn them.
Wow. Okay, Charles?
Stella, let's be a bit more realistic and practical. There are so many young persons, teenagers, who are going through this right now, and they are faced with so many, circumstances and situations. What would you say? Because in my situation, I hurt myself, Priscilla, because I was trying to gain my father's attention. I physically hurt myself. And when I did that, it didn't bother him. I was shocked. I was bleeding, it didn't bother him. And at that point, I remember going my mom took me to my pastor's place for holidays. And I was there for 3 months, and those were the best 3 months of my life growing up, because he made me see a different me. And that was I would say that was my point of salvation, more or less. But as an expert, there are people who are not as vast and as intelligent as yourself and stuff. What would you say should be the teenager's first point of call in that kind of situation?
Awesome. So, like I said in my opening remark, that this is the most delicate of the stage of life. When a young person feels bored in this generation, the first point of call is the internet. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The internet gives room to create a fake persona of who they are not. So young people live in a fantasy, in a bubble, an ideal life. So they practice escapism. I escape from the real world and hide behind my gadgets and create this personality. And the ability to now balance that with the real world becomes difficult. So, in practical terms, how does a young person who is trying to deal with this kind of situation, how is the person meant to cope? People are unable to cope because they do not have coping skills. Without the kind of clothes and shoes I can afford, do I have value for this person I'm looking for? As a young person who is trying to seek for meaning, begin to seek for meaning in you, in finding yourself. Who really am I? So, I do not have the power to seek daddy's attention because I feel pain. And let me see if I can get daddy's attention by inflicting pain on myself. But daddy still does not see me. That means that daddy does not have the ability to see. So if daddy might not have the ability to see because something is causing daddy's blindness, could daddy be overwhelmed with the economic situation of the country? That he feels that what is important is to make sure that I don't go hungry. But the mind of the young person cannot capture all of this. So what do I encourage a young person to do? I encourage a young person to spend more time discovering themselves than trying to discover friends, associates, classmates. The way we research on trending songs, on trending dance steps, shows that we are brilliant, shows that we are not dumb, shows that we are not useless. It means that we have the capacity to do something. So it's basically helping that person to redirect that energy, that intelligence, that brilliance to something that can make them feel special.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Coming up next on the show.
I was in the church, the pastor was preaching, and what was on my mind was, I want to die.
That's not the time to act strong. That's the time to seek help. So you would want to speak to somebody at that point.
So if a mother performs well or the home is well settled, definitely the child will grow up to be a good, person.
All right, thank you. Okay, at this point, I'm going to hear from my audience?
Regardless of whatever you go through, when suicidal thoughts comes into your mind, how can you overcome it, even before people discover you?
The first thing to do when you begin to nurse suicidal ideation, that is usually a telltale sign that you're breaking down emotionally or that you are emotionally exhausted. That's not the time to act strong. That's the time to seek help. So you would want to speak to somebody at that point.
Okay, speak to someone.
Mine is more like I'm adding to it because I was in the church, the pastor was preaching, and what was on my mind was, I want to die. Yeah, really. Like, I feel like ending my life. But I was thinking, if I commit suicide, I'm going to go to hell. So I was praying to God in the church that God should send somebody to kill me. So that, no, really, I'm here to give advice to some people. What really helped me personally was that I stopped seeking help from people. Like, naturally, for me now, I don't really work with people. I prefer to work alone. I prefer to do things alone, personally for me, because I don't have a parent I can talk to. My mom, naturally, if my mom wants to talk to you, she shouts. Her voice is very loud. She don't have this kind of voice that communicates.
Mellow.
Like, it's too shouty. So it's kind of difficult. So what really helped me was that I began to read books alone, read books a lot. And as I am now, I know my mind is a palace, like you said.
Wow. Beautiful. Okay.
Why is it that when a teenager is trying to move on or trying to do things in his or her own way, there are always bullies? There are always people meant to mock them. Are bullies meant to stay in this world? Thank you.
Are bullies meant to... Yeah, you want to answer that, Jerry?
So a question, the thing is, like I was stressing on the fact that it's very okay to be different. But what I'll tell you is, bullies usually act the way they do because they, in turn, are insecure about themselves. They don't like how they feel. So when they see someone trying to fly, trying to be different, they want to transfer that negative energy. So like, okay, I can't be happy, so I'm going to make everyone around me sad for themselves. But I think what you can do is, yes, there are the obvious ones that will be very violent. Then you can, like, you know, give them a distance. But the ones around you, I think what you can do is because if you stop being yourself, if you stop displaying that trait you want to display, they would have won. So do not, like I said, apart from the violent ones, give those violent ones space, but do not give bullies the room to breathe. If you are singing in a class and someone's laughing at you, raise the volume of your voice louder, sing some more. If it's, yeah.
Okay, Charles, let's hear what's going on social media, Facebook.
So we put out a post during the week and asked why teenagers commit suicide, and Charity says because they feel it's the best way out of a choked up life or a family filled with challenges. Another reason might just be spiritual. Biodu says they do because they have nobody worthy of confiding in. Temitaya says frustration, neglect, depression, and loneliness. Michael, interestingly, says the act of juvenile delinquency. Useni says the major reasons are child abuse and poor self-confidence. Suzanne finally says low self-esteem, bullying, family problems, constant insults from friends and family, hard drugs, inferiority complex, outcast feelings, constant abuses, sexually and physically, death of loved ones, and academic failure.
Okay, final question, and I hope we can give an answer to this in, if possible, a minute. It says, teenage suicide, who should be more directly responsible, the parent, society, or peer group?
It's like because it triggers. A situation comes in, it leads to another. Okay. So if a mother performs well or the home is well settled, definitely the child will grow up to be a good, person. So it's like all around. And I just think we should try. Whatever she said, it's if whatever is happening to you, please look at the good side of it.
Okay.
Good side of it. And we are all here today. We've had one thing or the other. It's not everybody that is privileged to talk. But if there's anything like that is going on in anybody's hurt, please pick out of what you've heard today and make it a better place.
Yeah, thank you. Raphael, can we have your final thoughts or your final word of advice out
For me,
there?
I think about the issue of bullying, I think people act that way because of how they see themselves. How you relate to things is a reflection of how you see yourself. So I suggest that you should work on discovering yourself, self-discovery, self-awareness, be aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, what you like and what you don't like. And I think all of that together will determine how you relate to certain situations in life. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Jerry?
For me, I'll just, final thoughts, just love yourself and love others around. And do not be afraid to seek for help. Even if something's wrong, go out there, say it out there. People might laugh and, you know, make fun, but there'll be someone out there who's definitely going to give you a solution. And actually, yeah.
All right, finally, Priscilla.
So it's important for you in closing for me to say that when you shine your light and be who you are meant to be, you give other people the permission to shine their light, and you also show other people what is possible.
Okay, and Charles?
Yeah, I think my final words would be realize and acknowledge the fact that you have a challenge and then seek for help. It's really important that you seek for help. I mean, in my case, help found me. I didn't look for it. But then that's 1 out of a million cases. Look for help, and when you find it, embrace it. Everything will be fine.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of talking going on, and of course, I learned a lot. I didn't even get the chance to share my own story, but I think teenage suicide, one of the best ways to combat it, like I've picked up from what my panelists said, and also some of the things we shared, is I think parents have, you know, a huge role to play there. Pay attention to your children because they live from home to the world. They are manufactured in the home and then sent out to the world. So pay attention to them, take in details. You know, it's not just enough that you're a parent. Study your children, understand them, and be very careful of the words you lash out to them. The average African parent finds it so easy to tell their child, you're stupid, you're useless, get away, I can't see, will you go and sit down, get all those rude words. I don't think it really helps the child. It doesn't encourage the child to approach you, right? I mean, I have my story, but well, it's a wrap. So thank you so much for watching today's episode of the Inside Out Show, where we discussed teenage suicide. And thank you for sending out your messages on our Facebook page. In case if you haven't followed our pages, the Inside Out Show, that's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So go on there and be a part of the conversation. And don't forget to follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Inside Out Show, and watch previous episodes of The Inside Out Show. And a huge thank you to our partners, DJ Rabiu, Beauty by Omalicha, Fortney's, Aquadana, KGM Industries Nigeria Limited, Funky B&T, Smart Chops and Food, Baker's World, and Deli Foods. Thank you for being partners with us on this show. Thank you, everyone. My panelists, you are amazing. Thank you so much. Until the next episode of the Inside Out Show, take care. God bless you.